So every week we get to share a tip of the week. If you guys would like to see some of our prior tips of the weeks, we've got some very interesting ones. You can check out our YouTube channel at Texas REIAs. And for those of you guys who are watching us online and you want to come and join us at a live meeting, you're more than welcome to join us. Just head over to texasreas.com/live and we'll get you hooked up with a live meeting with us. And we also are going to share with you a real estate investor blueprint to help you along your journey. And this lesson that I want to share with you today, or the tip of the week, is something that I got from Darren Hardy. Does anybody know who Darren Hardy is? Anybody recognize that name? How do you recognize him? The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster and the Compound Effect, and formerly the publisher of Success Magazine. He was one of Jim Rohn's proteges, so he has a lot of experience in the field of both personal development and real estate, as well as in education for entrepreneurs of all phases in life. So one of my favorite books is his book called The Compound Effect, and that's like for people who ask me like, well, what should I be reading or what should I be doing? I would say that would be one of the top books for you to read. And it talks about how sometimes in life we don't fall off of our path. In many cases, we drift off of our path as a result of some of the tiny decisions that we make day after day in our lives, right? And then he also has another book, The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. And one of the things that he talks about in that book is he basically says, you don't have a business until you sell something. You don't have a business until you sell something. And the way that I've notated it up here is you don't have a business until you buy or sell something, right? Because for us as real estate investors, often we have to buy something before we're even able to sell something, or for the wholesalers in the room, before we're able to wholesale something. So I want to just kind of talk about how that shows up in life as a real estate investor. And first off, I want to ask the question, some of you guys, I can just look at you and tell, but I'm curious, how many of you guys know that you are the left brain, analytical, gonna just like do a detailed spreadsheet on everything? Who are you? Just raise your hands. You, sir? Okay, you, Lester. Come on. I know. It's okay. It's okay, Lester. I know. Between the blue and green. Who over here is my left brain? Okay, got to know everything before I do anything. Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, got to set it up right the first time. Yes? Who are my people? Yeah, that's okay. I'm one of those people too. It's okay. My name's Shanoa Grove. I'm a left brainer. I'm here for help. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I know where you guys are at. And but I will tell you that sometimes our left brain gets in our way. How does our left brain show up and get in our way? Paralysis analysis. So what's your name, sir? Mark, let me ask you a question. How long have you been interested in real estate?
I've been interested in it for a long time.
Like, put a number on it. 10 years. Wow. That's a lot of analysis paralysis. That is. Yeah. Okay. I'm not picking on you. That's very common. So, what I see with a lot of left brainers is their runway is like the longest runway you've ever seen in your life, right? They take a long time to take off, but once they finally decide, what happens? They take off like a rocket ship, right? Is that right, my left brainers? Yes? It's like, I feel like I got everything. I feel like I know anything. I'm ready to take off like a rocket ship now. My right brainers, who are my right brainers? Like, I'm ready to go out tonight, like now is good, yes? My right brainers, getting on an airplane with them is like one of the scariest rides of your, like the left brainer ride is like, is like when you're on the tarmac for 6 hours, right? That's what that feels like. But my right brainers are like, is a snowstorm? No, there's a hurricane? Let's do this. What level? Category 4? I think I got this. My right brainers take off like, ups and downs, and you're like, it's scary as a left brainer looking in, right? It's scary as a left brainer looking in. But my right brainers are taking action. So my left brainers, knowledge on ice. My right brainers, ignorance on fire, right? And that's not to say anything bad about right brainers or anything bad about left brainers, just kind of who we are as people. But sometimes when I find when it comes to my left brainers, They think that they are putting the horse in front of the cart. They think that they are doing everything right and in the correct order. What does that look like for a left-brainer? What does that look like? What does that look like for a left-brainer? Yeah. You got to do A before B. What does that look like for a left-brainer? Where do left-brainers sometimes get stuck? What are they doing?
Imperfection.
They're perfectionists. What?
Sometimes we are stuck in it.
It's like a math problem. Okay, what do we do as left-brainers? What are we creating like crazy? These to-do lists. Yes. Do left-brainers have the best to-do list out there? Yeah. And it's like when we check something off, it's like we don't just check it off. We like, feels so good. Like, look at me, I'm accomplishing stuff. I'm on my way to be a real estate millionaire. This feels so good. But what are my right-brainers doing? Are my right-brainers making a list? No, they've already left, right? They're doing the thing. They're not like making a list about, made the list today. Thing number one, make the list. Some of you guys are saying, no, like I can't do that. I'm ready to go. So, again, you don't have the business until you get something under contract. But many investors put the cart before the horse. They get a feel-good feeling, right? A lot of our left-brainers get a really good feeling by checking off items off of a to-do list, even the ones that don't directly relate to creating revenue. Think about that. Think about, for my left-brainers in here, think about what you're doing in your real estate investing business that are all the things that are not creating revenue. How many of you guys feel stuck in that? Really? Come on. Okay. Yes, I know who you are, right? I know who you are. But I don't want any of you guys to get stuck in this loop, right? Because it's very hard to get out of. You feel like you're doing something, you feel like you're accomplishing something, and then 6 months go by, and then 6 years go by, and then it's like, what do you have to do after 6 years go by? Because what's changed now? Well, the entire market has changed now, so what do I need to redo? I need to go and learn what's happening in the marketplace again, right? And can you see how that learning loop has no, it's like if 610 had no exits, right? And it does take a long time to go around 610, right? That's what it feels like. So what I'll say is, getting that first sale or getting that property under contract, it's not just everything, it is the only thing. And for my left-brainers, I know that tenses you up. What do you mean? I'm going to go and get a property under contract before I even know what I should be doing, before I even know if I've got everything right, before I know if I've got everything lined up. And I'm going to suggest to you to really consider that. I'm going to suggest to you to really consider that. Because what I see is that a lot of my left-brainers, a lot of the left-brain investors out there get distracted by their to-do list. How many of you guys are like, oh, well, what entity do I set up, right? Well, do I do an S Corp? Do I do a C Corp? Do I do an LP, right? What do I do? And then you get stuck there, right? I'll tell you, as an experienced real estate investors, I end up creating a lot of LLCs. Why is that? Because for some of the properties that I'm buying, I want each one of those properties put in a new LLC. How long does that really take? It takes about a day. But do some left-brainers kind of get stuck in like, oh, I'm thinking about, well, what kind? And, well, should I do the S or C? And then I saw this YouTube guy said this, and I saw this YouTube girl say this, so I don't know which one to do, right? And then oh, I've got to get a real estate attorney because I got to make sure that I get all this right. And then I've got to make sure I've got a CPA or accountant, and I want to make sure that they're aligned and on the same page because they very rarely are. Oh, and I got to get my website, and I got to get my logo, and I got to get my business cards, and I got to get my email address, and I got to get my call rail, and I got to get my prop stream, and I got to get my real estate IQ, and I've got to get all these different things, right? And then what do you end up doing? Nothing. Do you see anything in here that is like getting you closer to making money? Well, it's not procrastination. It is just how some people's minds work. And that's why, we're talking about realtor school a few moments ago. So sometimes I find that, someone wants to go from point A to point B. And then they take a loop to go to realtor school. It's like, I want to go from working in corporate America to investing. And it's like then they take a right turn, they go to realtor school, and or they make some other turn, right? Or they get trapped in, well, what kind of LLC? And guess what, guys? When I first started investing, the ideal entity was an LP. It's not anymore. It was franchise tax beneficial at the time that I started investing. And then it was like, oh, well, now you got to get an LLC. And well, now you got to get a series LLC. And now you got to do the S Corp selection on the LLC. And guess what? It's going to be changing again when? Next year, right? So what do you ultimately got to do? You have to look at the things that are on your to-do list and ask yourself, is any of this stuff going to create revenue for me today? Is that right? And it feels uncomfortable, I know, especially for my left brainers, but I want all of you guys to stop hiding behind your to-do list. I'm not going to ask you guys to raise your hand because you're like, you guys, I realize as I've been with you just in these few moments tonight that all of you guys are procrastinators. Raise your hand. I'll do that later. So I'll just ask all of you guys to stop hiding behind that to-do list, change your focus, start selling yourself, your offer, right? Creating that offer, getting in front of people. Is it going to feel uncomfortable? James, you were sharing with us tonight, you got some uncomfortable situations you're dealing with, right? It's going to feel uncomfortable. Are you going to have all the answers? No. Are you ever going to have them all? No. Find some peace in knowing that, because that is something that you will know, right? I've been doing this for 20 years. Guess what? I still get to learn something new almost every day. And when I'm not learning something new, I consider it a little bit of a failure, right? Because things are always changing, whether it's the rules, whether it's the laws, whether it's the competition, whether it's the title companies, what they will and won't accept, right? Whether it's a probate issue that I'm going through and I've got to do an heirship affidavit and find people that are unfindable, right? Is this always going to be changing and affecting you? And I would suggest to you that the answer is yes. And I don't want any of you guys to be one of those many businesses that either fails before it gets started, before you even start to do the marketing, or that you are 6 months down the path of saying, you know, I'm really kind of liking this investor thing. I like the idea of it, but let me tell you something. To watch all of the YouTube videos and listen to all the podcasts that are out there, right? You don't have enough days left in your life to make that happen. Is that true? Yeah. And then, you know, a lot of times when you're listening to these podcasts, and I mean, listen, I have a podcast and I have a YouTube channel, but you're getting a lot of the ingredients, but what are you missing? The formula, right? And that confidence to be able to, as you guys said, take action, which is what I want for all of you guys. So get comfortable getting uncomfortable. Start the marketing. Start the marketing. Like the first time, so James, you know, you said you've gotten started in this business. The first time you talked to somebody, it probably felt really uncomfortable. And the second time you talked to somebody, it probably still felt a little uncomfortable, but you felt like, okay, I know what some of the objections are. I know what some of the things that they're going to say, or I know what happens next. And there's some confidence in there that gets you to the next property and the next one and the next one and the next one. Guys, you're going to make some mistakes as you are getting started. Accept that and find some peace in that. Just make sure and get started. Where you should not be finding peace is inaction or checking off a to-do list that has nothing, that's not generating revenue. And I will tell you, one lead, one deal, one opportunity. Is that not something that will change your life forever? It can, it certainly can, but what do you have to get out there and do first? That marketing to even get that first lead, that first opportunity. And for my left brainers, I will tell you this concept of pressure makes diamonds, right? Nothing inspires like a deadline. And who better to handle a deadline than a left brainer, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? So all those things that were on the to-do list, right? Setting up that LLC, like making sure you get all that right. Is that going to happen basically overnight as soon as you get that first lead, as soon as you get that first deal? What do you think? What do you think? Oh no, you can get an LLC overnight, literally. Yes, guys, let me tell you something. For those of you guys who are worried about like, oh, I don't have my LLC yet, I can't go and talk to a homeowner. Listen, let me tell you how you write the contract. As the buyer, you'll write Gerard, which is your last name, Gerard? Do you mind if I say it out loud?
It's Gerard.
It's Gerard. Okay. What was the last name, though? I'm going to probably slaughter that too, but I can't read it from here.
Nimin.
Nimin? So Gerard Nimin buys houses and or assigns. And then who can you later assign that deal to? The LLC that you make overnight. And if the seller says to you, well, wait a second, what does this and or assigns mean? And Gerard will say what? Oh, I need to set up my LLC. Did I say that right? Okay, I did. Okay, good. And what's the seller going to say? Oh, okay, sure. Nothing's going to inspire like that deadline. Nothing's going to inspire like, I finally am doing something that's revenue generating, and I'm finally doing something that can generate money. So the truth is, yes, you will get to all of your to-dos, but don't let your to-dos get in the way of getting that first lead, that first deal, that first opportunity. And nothing inspires like a deadline, which means that you will get all of these things done, right, as you get closer to getting that contract, as you get closer to getting that deal. And I'll end by this concept that really means a lot to me, which is I want every single one of you guys to see yourself as the Rainmaker. Should the Rainmaker be doing everything in the business? Should the Rainmaker be taking out the trash? Does taking out the trash have to be done? Yes. Everything has to be done. It just doesn't have to be done by the Rainmaker. And I want all of you guys to see yourself as the Rainmaker in this business so that maybe you are delegating some of these things that are not what? That are not what? That are not revenue-making activities, right? If it's not a revenue-generating activity, yes, I know it needs to be done, but it just does not have to be done by me. And the sooner that you guys adopt that philosophy, I can promise you, the sooner that you will be the Rainmaker in your own business, and the sooner you will be able to get maybe this life that you are thinking about, and this life that maybe that you want, even if it's only on a part-time basis, right? And I will tell you, as part of Texas REIAs, we help a lot of people kind of, especially the left-brainers, kind of get pushed out of the nest. Some people, I think when they first meet me, they look at me and they say, oh, right-brainer, okay? That is not who I am, like MBA from Rice University with a focus on finance and entrepreneurship. I have a lot of checklists, okay? I am one of you for my left-brainers out there, right? It is part of me. But what I found is that my big left brain was getting in the way of me making a lot of money. As soon as I was able to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable and getting out there and putting something under contract and walking through a contract with a seller, right, I started to build that confidence. But sometimes us left-brainers, what do we have to do? We have to get in it. We have to experience. We have to do it before we learn it. And even the right-brainers too, right? I just want to follow somebody around who's doing it so I can just watch them and shadow them doing it. So, and I'll, in a couple of moments, I'll introduce you to my husband. He's also a left-brainer. He was a double major, computer science and electrical engineering, right? You should see the checklists that we had when we first started our business. Those checklists got in the way of us making money. Those checklists set us back by 6 months. I realize that now, and now I want to make sure that all of the other left-brainers that are in that learning loop bust out of it faster than the 6 months that it took us, right? So that's my hope for all of you guys. And giving you guys some of these different tips is just some different things that we like to do in terms of helping you guys as you walk through your business. And